Okay, well, I felt like I had to do this video. Here I was thinking it was going to be quiet a little bit for a while, but bang on, right? Did you guys catch how Odin showed up at the Odin Wild Protest? It was crazy yesterday. So I just wanted to go through some of the stuff that was happening in the sky and a little bit of the symbolism that they're using following prophecy. So if you've been following my channel, you know that I had really focused in on January 6th and it being the Odin's Wild Hunt. And I was quite shocked when Trump called it the Wild Protest. And this I found out all through this Day of Light, which goes to this goddess, Perchta, and she is actually all ties into Odin. I've done a video on all that, and you can go back and check that out. So the Omen of Odin, it's also known as the Wild Hunt, thundered across European skies, bringing calamity and doom. Odin's a Norse god, and he also ties into Santa Claus. And Trump has been saying Santa Claus in his rallies, and he did say it on this January 6th rally as well. So Trump had posted on his YouTube channel this video of him, and it's all specific screenshots. And I was kind of shocked when I saw it, and the sign for woman was like blocked out, but it said Omen. And I really do believe that everything is specifically placed. So I took a screenshot of that, and then this all ties into the Omen of Odin as well as the Wild Hunt. So we all know about Columbia. And she's the national personification of the United States, tied to the Statue of Liberty. And Columbia is actually in the sky, right in front of Karina's ship. And there it was, right at the time when the protest was supposed to start. It was right in the center, as in the azimuthal grid. So I was quite surprised to see that. I was like, oh, they've aligned it to the sky. Now, Trump got there late, so Columbia was just coming out of the circle. And the star here at the top of, well, it's just at the back leg of Canis Major, which is the Sirius stars in there. The star is called Adhera. So Adhera is actually known as the first of the virgins, or the virgins. There's also a USS Adhera ship. On this side of the sphere was Lyra, the constellation that has the Lara in it, and the star in there is Vega, and this is the summer triangle. It goes to Altair, the eagle, which is the Aquila constellation, and then it goes to Cygnus constellation to Deneb, which is at the tail of the swan. And this swan is known as the Northern Cross. It would be like the cross of Jesus. Okay, so they're saying Vega became the first star to ever be photographed. And also, it's because of the spectrum from the sun. It's like it was able to catch the same spectrum as the sun in the photograph, so that was a very important star. There's lots of importance to this star, so I just want to go into it. Mercury found the body of the tortoise cast up on the Nile and discovered that by striking the sinew after the flesh was consumed, a musical note was obtained. So they were able to get a musical note from the tortoise, okay? So he made a lyre of a similar shape, having 3 strings, and gave it to Orpheus, the son of Calliope, who by its music enchanted the beasts, birds, and rocks. So Orpheus was slain by Trichyne, a woman. Jupiter placed the lyre in the heaven as a result of Apollo and the Muses. The constellation was often called Vultur Cadens, or the falling gripe, by the ancients. The musical instrument of the lyre of Orpheus is a testimony to the love and the longing felt for Orpheus for his wife, Eurydice, who died from a bite of a poisonous snake. Overcome by grief, he started singing the lyrics of mourning songs. That's why I was the morning star, right? Mourning songs. It's actually mourning the dead. Music of the lyre, causing all who heard him weep, including the gods. So this lyre kind of, it's like, it makes you sad, okay? So following this failure to rescue Eurydice from Hades, Orpheus wandered through the wild solitudes of Thrace, always playing with his lyre. Lyra represents the lyre, an ancient stringed instrument. Lyra has titles identifying it with a variety of stringed instruments, and some of these names might be due to a lack of knowledge of what the lyre was. That there was difference between the lyre and the cithara is certain. Hermes invented the lyre, and Apollo invented the cithara. So the lyre and the chalice on the one hand, and the cithara and the pharynx on the other, were similar or nearly identical. Aratos called Lyra the Chelis oleg, the little tortoise or shell. Okay, so it's a shell. So all living turtles belonging to the crown group Chelonia, the genetic name was derived from the Greek chelos. So yeah, so anyhow, so the tortoise is really the lyra. So it's like really a musical instrument. Zeus got angry at the tortoise and ordered her to carry her house with her wherever she went. So the word shalon is a siege performed with the shield united so that it resembles the shell of a tortoise, the same as the Latin testudo, from Greek shalon, tortoise, from Greek kalos, or a tortoise, literally the yellow animal, related to the Greek choules, which is a greenish yellow color. Note the cognate of chalos, the yolk of an egg, the Orphic egg, an egg with a snake wound around it from the bottom to the top. It is ancient and the foremost symbol of the Orphic mysteries, which were named after Orpheus, a legendary singer in Greek myth. Okay, so the word egg may be aquila, and the various components of this mysterious egg and snake would involve a number of constellations. So Aquila, which is the eagle in the sky, I guess was bigger at one point. Melancholy is described as a black bile, a term that described Orpheus's grief and sadness over the death of Eurydice. So the lyre, for the first lyre, was said to have been made of a string from the tortoise. Yeah, we know that. So also, it just says down here that it lulls you to sleep. That's really what I want to get to. This lyre is, it's kind of like hypnotizing you. It's and gets you like a lullaby. So this was what was in the sky when they started the protest. Okay, so in Europe, Ophiuchus, the doorway, was happening at the beginning of the protest, and also Orion holding the lion, after he killed it. So it's basically like Hercules killing the Nemean lion on his first labor. All symbolic to Ascension, all really good symbols in the sky, all to do with America, went over the sky was over America, but in the and then over in Europe, it's also symbolic, all to do with Ascension. Everybody was super happy, it was they're happy with Trump's speech, and I didn't like the fact that they were moving people from 3 different locations during the day. I just thought it was not a smart thing to do. I thought it would, more opportunity for chaos to happen. With other protesters from the other side coming in, and I just thought it was a silly thing to do, and I kind of was like, I wouldn't want to go there and experience that, because it just seemed to me like that would be something that could cause violence. But anyhow, a lot of people went, and a lot of people enjoyed it at the beginning. So it was in the Freedom Plaza, then it went to the ellipse. Now the ellipse means flatten the curve of a circle. That's what for Kepler's first law of the orbits and describing orbits. So they're tying in rituals to Corona. Okay, so once I saw that they were doing that, I knew it was kind of like a ritual that was happening in Washington. And I just thought it was, anytime there's rituals happening, it's usually can be quite bipolar. So at 3 o'clock American time, but European time, it was this in the sky in the grid, the eagle, okay, representing United States. And this is all part of the summer triangle. And this is Aquila, where I was just talking about the Orphic Egg. Okay, and the hole on the other side of the grid had the snake. Okay, so that's Hydra, but it's also like Lachesis, which is a snake. It's the viper bite, and the tongue's hanging out. So it's not the good snake. It's going to bite you. So they had it all lined up perfectly to the big water snake in the sky that usually has the owl sitting on her back in ancient times. And of course, the landscape around the Capitol building where everybody was going to was a big owl. So they were, going to meet the Hydra's owl on the back of her back. And everybody was defensive with their armor on, like Minerva, the goddess of the owl. And in the America time, there was the constellation Antlia, which is the wind pump. It's the vacuum. And I don't know if you guys remember when Trump said Gone with the Wind, he preferred that movie than the Parasite movie. So yeah, it was kind of like a play on words, because you'll be surprised when you see what else is in the sky at 3 o'clock when this protest started breaking out crazy. So on the other side of the grid, there it was, the reptile. Okay, so the parasite. Okay, that's on Moses's stick. It's on the king in the sky, Cassiopeia's husband. His stick has the lizard on it. Okay, so it's like the reptile. So there you go, the parasite in Gone with Your Wind. It's all tied to the sky when this event broke out. So here's the article they say on CNN. In case you had any doubt about what Trump meant with the parasite critique, and you shouldn't, if you've paid any attention to his first 3 years in office, the movie he praised as the right sort of film to win American awards makes very clear what he's driving at. Gone with the Wind came out in 1939 and focused on a plantation-owning family in 1861 in the run-up of the Civil War. So there they go. They just dropped the Civil War again. All ties into Get Off My Neck and Sic Semper Tyrannis, phrase that was used during the Civil War, also used with Julius Caesar in the fall of Rome and 3.5 years of Civil War. Okay, so they're mirroring, they're just re-looping history, okay? And this is what you have to understand. It's all prophecy, and there's 2 timelines. And this is what most people don't want to understand, that there could be 2 timelines. Because I do think there is a way out of here, and this is what all this is all about. Needless to say, Trump did concede, and to all of my wonderful supporters, I know you are disappointed, but I want you to know that our incredible journey is just beginning. Okay, so, oh my God, I don't know why I just think that they're all in on it. It's like, I just can't understand how there's so much symbolism in the media with the same wording and all tying into ancient, beliefs and religions and ceremonies that were back around Saturnalia. And I do think chaos, order has to come out of chaos, and I think they have to create chaos to divide the souls. This is my personal opinion. I know it's out there for a lot of people, but it seems like Saturn, the god of Saturn, rules the golden age. He does not rule this realm for 3.5 years. This is prophecy. This realm goes into complete satanic, if you want to call it, Satan rule for 3.5 years. And we're right in the middle of the 7 years of prophecy. So we're right, it's all happening. This is when it starts. This is when Satan starts his rule, and this is when Biden's going to get in. Okay, and then it's going to get more and more and more intense lockdowns, more to the vaccine, and this will be basically hell on earth if you choose this realm. But if you're in bliss and I do think there's a way out. I don't believe that religious prophecy is so that you have to live in the 3 years of hell, and that's the only option you have. So it's either you believe in prophecy or you don't believe in prophecy. Either you're a spiritual person and you understand prophecy, or you aren't a spiritual person. It's black and white for me, but I guess a lot of people are struggling with seeing how prophecy could actually come into our timeline and be real. But you're witnessing it. So it really, this is a really extraordinary time. It's unfortunate these people got hurt. I don't know for sure if it's real because people were filming when they were going inside the Capitol building, and I did see the film, and it didn't look real to me. Okay, but maybe it was real. Okay, so who knows? But it's all very confusing for everybody's emotions right now. But in the end, I think it's learning how to disconnect from all this trauma and then just focus on your spiritual path. Okay, so this was a little video where they show the police opening the gates and telling them to rush in. Okay, so like I've seen the video, it's real. And so it wasn't like people breaking over. The police were telling them to do this. And then this picture, are they real Trump supporters? I don't know. These ones are not, that's for sure. No Trump supporter dresses like that. And so we all know that Odin has horns on his head sometimes, right? And this is, this guy shows up and he looks like Odin. Couldn't believe it. He's got the horns, he's got the Trump flag, but I'm telling you, this is not a Trump supporter. This is not an average Trump supporter. And he even goes in and sits on the speaker's chair, makes a big scene there with his arms up in the air. It's all acting. Here he is at a BLM rally, which is Black Lives Matter, which, Trump supporters don't usually go there and say, F the police. Like, that's not what Trump supporters do. Here he is holding up a Q sign. And this was where he really, showed that he was Odin. This was a climate change rally in 2019, and this is where it says it's funny. It says the Ragnarok, which is Odin's war, right? And then it says time to wake up. So here he is at this rally. I found a video of him talking as if he was a Trump supporter, but there's no way on earth that a climate change protester is a Trump supporter, okay? Because Trump doesn't believe in climate change, okay? So all Trump supporters, they don't believe in climate change. So this guy was a setup. He was part of the whole ritual, okay? So everybody was set up, okay? Both sides in a way. It's all to create drama and stress. His name is Jake Angela, and he's a professional actor and voiceover. And this is the reporter that did the Trump interview with him last year, but it was fake. And she's from Phoenix, Arizona reporter. I'm seeing false tweets that Jake Angela, aka a QAnon shaman. Okay, there's no QAnon shamans. They don't believe in paganism, Trump supporters, who was part of the group that stormed the Capitol and made it into the chamber, is an Antifa. It's not true, he's part of the interview. Here's my interview with him, that he's a Trump supporter, a 32-year-old. And he talked about Q. And he's basically acting as he's talking about it as I listen to the interview. Okay, you can go find that on my Twitter. I did post it on there. And then now it's scrubbed. Like she's scrubbed off of Google. You can't find her. But I found her as soon as it happened. It was only that interview when it first happened. Now if you go Google his name, there's tons of Q stuff all around it. But when I Googled it yesterday, it was just a picture and then her name beside it that linked her to her Twitter account. So I found her Twitter account, but this is where she works in Arizona, and it's a complete liberal newspaper, basically bashing the Trump supporters all the time. And what's interesting is that it's in Phoenix, okay? So you're flying out of the fixed cross, you have to be the Phoenix, but the Phoenix is kind of being hijacked. It's not about freedom of getting out of this realm, it's about keeping you in the drama. So he even has an Odin symbol in the red circle, and the Tree of Life and the Thor hammer all tattooed on his body. Odin is tied to the Tree of Life. There's an old picture of him. And then this symbol, the triple triangles, that's all tied to Odin as well, and that's tattooed on his chest. Yeah, this symbol is called the Valk nut. And here it's stating that it's tied to the god Odin. So Odin showed up at the Odin's Wild Hunt, at the Wild Protests on January 6th, the day of Odin. So I guarantee this was not a Trump supporter, because there's no way that a Trump supporter would think that Trump would do this on purpose on Odin's Wild Hunt Day to create this. Okay, so it was a setup really on for both sides. So here's some of the pics of where the woman got shot through the window, and there's the guns. Everybody's got the pictures, and this is the woman, but she was a military officer before, I think in intelligence as well. And here it's saying she's an Air Force vet, but I saw the whole thing and it just didn't look super real to me, and I'm sorry if she has passed for saying that, but it didn't look real from my eyes. And they even had this there. Somebody had taken a picture of the noose, the hangman. That's Odin, right? Tarot card number 12. So like the ritual, it was full of symbolism of Odin. Even this guy's necklace ties into symbolism of Odin. This is an ancient stone that has the same symbol on it, but with snakes. It's called a triskel, and originally it was called a triquetra. So the triquetra was on rune stones in Northern Europe and early Germanic coins. Okay, so it also has the Velknuk there. Okay, so it's also to do with Christian Trinity. So it's like and then Celtic pagans and neo-pagans who are not of Celtic cultural orientation may use these triquetra to symbolize a variety of concepts and mythology figures. So the triple goddess is in there, the Morrigan, which are the three fates again. So this symbol was used in The Walking Dead, and also a German Netflix series called Dark. They used it for time traveling and to do with the Emerald Tablet and everything. So yeah, I think this is a very special symbol. It's really ancient. The Triskelion, which is also known for, also goes back in the English language of numismatics in the 19th century. The form consisting of 3 human legs. Okay, so let's go check out numismatics. So numismatics goes to coin collecting, and then it goes back to Caesar Augusta gave coins of every device, including pieces of the kings, for foreign money as Saturnalia gifts. Okay, so yeah, coin collecting goes back to Saturnalia as gifts from Saturnalia. Oh my God, it all ties back to the Tree of Life. It's nuts, the symbol. Yeah, oh my goodness. So that symbol, that Triskelion, goes back to the Tree of Life, really, because Saturnalia is all about Sigillaria and the Tree of Life, which is all about the Golden Age again. So, of course, today on C-SPAN, they have to show Pence getting some coins so that he ends up playing the role of Judas. So here they have 30 pieces of silver that he was going to sell, Jesus to somebody, and just for 30 coins, and then he regretted it after. All to do with the Last Supper. So the phrase is all known with selling out, for your own personal gain. There's these coins called the challenge coin that they give in Freemasonry. I just thought this was weird because it had the 222 number on it from 1775 to 1997, and they, specifically chose the 222 years, so I think that has huge significance. So that's 222 keeps popping up, right? There's also this article on January 3rd with Malaysia and Judas coins. So they're putting it through the media, Judas coins, kind of programming people about what it is. They're just trying to get their freedom away from, I believe, Hong Kong, and they kind of got sold out kind of thing, and so they're calling it was kind of like a Judas coin move to do that. And it's Malaysia has a lot to do with freedom. I've gone into it before a little bit of it. I looked into there, and it represents freedom. I guess it has to do with ancient Chinese heritage or something, or I wouldn't say Chinese, but you know what I mean, Oriental. And this is all tying into symbolizing their freedom. So Linwood, stoking up everybody. Good afternoon. I am hearing rumors that Pence and leaders of the coup are planning to arrest and execute President Trump and his followers. Typical move by communist tyrants. They will never do it, as 80 million patriots would react, and it would not end well for those commies. But just in case they try, I have my escape pod gassed up and ready, and he's driving with his little fancy car. And this is an attorney. I just find they're just stoking everybody, and they just want to get everybody fighting. It's like, let's see if we can get you fighting, and then if there's an Ascension event, you won't ascend. Basically, that's the way I see it. Oh, and here he has himself with Lincoln riding a horse because of his name, Linwood. But it's always Lincoln. Everywhere is Lincoln. I really do see, Lincoln is the pond, means Lin in Welsh. It's the nectar of the gods, the harvest. And this is a spiritual war. One of my subs mentioned this to me, which I didn't know about. It's called Q, which is all to do about Jesus. So it's like Q power in the Bible. So this is a spiritual war, and spiritual wars, I don't believe, are about, well, they can be about fighting, trying to fight the evil on the ground, but I do think there is an opportunity to be a more higher powered warrior with not functioning from the same physical realm as what we're in. I know it sounds like really like fantasy, but the symbolism's everywhere, and it's kind of like you would say in the Lord of the Rings, the ring makes you invisible. It's the Cheshire Cat, it's the Cheshire Charge. It's all quantum mechanics. So on January 28th, there's a wolf moon. So this ties into the wolf being in the azimuthal grid. I want to check out February, and this I found really interesting. So we know Candlemas is on February 2nd, Groundhog Day, which is the last day of the Epiphany tied to Odin, Santa Claus. It's the last day of Christmas. 42 days after Sigillaria, Saturnalia festival, last day, or 40 days from Christmas. Okay, so this is February. It goes back to being purified. And this is what the Epiphany means, the Candlemas means, right? It means to purify. So Candlemas means purify, but the whole month of February means purify. And so it means the purification of the expiatory offerings, which is of uncertain origins. Can be a Sabine word, okay? The smoking or the burning. The burnt offerings. So the burnt offerings, it's at the bottom here, you can't see it. This is creepy because there was this movie that I watched when I was about 10 called The Burnt Offerings, and we were in a hotel, and I was a little kid, and we couldn't watch the whole thing, and I was halfway through it, and it traumatized me, and we couldn't find the movie again. Way back then, you couldn't get movies very easily, and it was on the TV, and it was called The Burnt Offerings. I watched it later. It's all about this house that injures you sometimes. You hurt yourself, and then wherever you get hurt, which part of the house or a garden, everything comes back nice and beautiful. So, but this movie traumatized me, and this whole thing about being burnt is about ascension. This is the Kimri to blacken. Okay, it's all to do with you're the burnt one. Okay, so you're flying. You're the phoenix flying out of the ashes. The last month of the ancient Roman calendar, so named in reference to the Roman feast of purification, held on the Ides of the month, which is like, it has to do with moon cycles, but kind of like halfway through the month. The old English name for it was Salamano. So it sounds like Solomon, which is said to mean mud month. English first borrowed the Roman name from the Old French février. Okay, so février, which yielded Middle English fevery. Okay, so it's like a fever. So it's like you're getting hot. It's Ascension. It's the Phoenix. Okay, it's tied into the name of February. It's like, February is like the day you get hot and you get the burnt offering. Oh my God. Okay, so I took the number, the date, 22221 it ends up being, but I wanted to split it so we have the number 21 because that's the universe number for the tarot cards. And then we have our 222. So when you times it together, it comes to 4662, which is really significant because we get the 42 for the judges, right? Which all ties into the 42 days after Sigillaria Day, getting to Groundhog Day, Candlemas Day, February 2nd. It's 42 days, and we need the 42 judges, and then it's also in the actual date itself. Okay, so February 2nd is the 33rd day of the year. Yeah, and then the 66, if you flip one of the nines up, you've got your moon logo, which is like the alchemic symbol for the moon is a 69. It looks like a 69. So 222 times 1, but we also get February. But if you just use the word and then you just take the 2221, you've got your just 222 times 1 is 222. But anyhow, it's just there are then 332 days left in 2021 on the 33rd day of the year. 5th Tuesday on the 6th week, 44 day of winter, which is like death. 44 means die in gematria. The birthstone for this day is amethyst, which is to be grounded. That's a crystal that you ground with. In tropical, you're Aquarius, which all ties to, Jesus, because that's Jesus's constellation. And then Groundhog Day. And then it was in Estonia, the peace treaty, anniversary of the peace treaty, and World Wetland Day in India. So there you go. That's February 2nd. Okay, so it's called a strobogrammatic number. Let's check that out. Also known as a rotational symmetric number. So we come full circle. Formally, the rotational symmetry is the symmetry with respect to some of the relations in m-dimensional Euclidean space, which is Freemason math. Okay, the number 47 they use. And this goes back to the scullion. It's back to the three-legged symbol again that ties into the Isle of Man. All back to Wales. It's like off the coast. It's all to do with, that's a very druid island. So the number 222 is a combination of 2 signifying balance and 22, which is the number of the master builder. So the friggin' tarot card deck, which is a number that's 22 cards, 0 being the fool's card, because you're a fool if you actually believe you can get out of here. And nobody wants to believe you, and everybody calls you a fool, and you don't know what you're talking about, right? So you have to be the fool to ride the middle path. Both sides don't want to listen to you. That's the way it is. And so, but it's the master builder number. So this all ties into February 2nd is the master builder, Groundhog Day. If you're not the fool, you'll be living Groundhog Day. So I had to check out gematria as well. The 222 comes to 666. Okay, so it's going to be, very much a lot of numerology tying into this number and prophecy. Here's some of the terms: order out of chaos, as above, so below, New York's New York, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. February 2nd is there, goes to the gematria. Manifest destiny, Knights of Malta, global currency, Hurricane Lane. All has ties to 222. Okay, it's also conspiracy theory, and God said there would be light, and there was light. Lucifer, Morning Star, New York, United States. New York is important because, the Statue of Liberty and everything there, which all ties into the prophecy. And of course, area code 222 is in New York. Then also 22201 is in Arlington, and then 202 for the tarot cards is in Washington. Then the actual date of the date ties into color which is black, called melazine. So the melazine on the hex of this color has the exact date in there. It's February 2nd, 2021. Then we also have the 32 and a 33 and a 42 on the octal. Okay, so this is just really bizarre, right? It's like, but this all ties into, it's a black, the color's black, okay? So it's the blackened again. It's the burnt offering tied to this number, okay? And then it's all to do with, you know, derogatory way of speaking to black people because you're like an eggplant, you know, and they've got all these sayings about, you know, derogatory way of speaking to somebody using this term. It would make sense that they would do that kind of into society to put that through so that you're actually kind of you know, thinking it is a degrading terminology. It's like this. It's like a spell. So you don't. So again, you fear your own a way out of here. That's what they constantly do. So there's this hangman poem, but it's a little tricky for me to read on screen here, but you guys can read it. But the last thing that really stood out for me, it was you fall again when you're the hangman hanging from the tree from your feet. You just fall again. You go back up there again. You fall again. That's the repetitive Groundhog Day, up and down the tree. You never become attached to the roots. I was honored to have Libet come to my channel and leave a comment, and she said that 311, we need a sacrifice to match 9/11 on the male axis. So a messianic sacrifice, you know, representing Jesus. So I was thinking about this. Okay, so 311, I'd actually thought about it because my late husband, passed on January 31st. And I have to tell you, I've never spoken about it, but it was a very spiritual, the whole thing was really spiritual. We just had a baby and a young child, and he got diagnosed, and 8 months later he passed. Okay, perfectly healthy person. So we decided to get married. All these people came with 1 week's notice to our wedding because everybody knew he wasn't going to make it. And we had done normal big pharma at first, which didn't work out well. And then I always wanted to do holistic. So I started finding a holistic place down in the United States. And one of their clients that was doing testimonies, I called her, and I had no place to live. She said, "Come down. You can come and stay with me." And I thought, what Americans are amazing like this, you know? So she never met me. We went down there and stayed with her. At one point, we were doing treatment at this clinic, and his tumor broke open. He fell down outside her house, and he had these huge tumors on his chest, like massive, like like a grapefruit. And it broke open. I know it sounds disgusting, but he started to bleed to the point where, and at the time, we didn't have Medicare for being in the States. I didn't expect anything like that. I was just really naive. And we go into her Masonic bathroom, white and black tiles, and I stick him in the bathtub, and the bathtub's filling up with blood. Okay, it was the most horrific experience of my life. And then I had to drive back for 22 hours in an ice snowstorm back to Canada, and I didn't stop driving for 22 hours because I thought he was going to die beside me. Okay, the whole experience was crazy. They stuck him in a ward in a hospital in Montreal where there was no doctors, and I couldn't find any doctors. He went into insulin kind of reaction and went like, so he was hallucinating, and the nurses just were ignoring him because they thought he was just a crazy person. I'm like, he wasn't like this like 5 hours ago. I'm screaming for doctors. Nobody's coming. And then I think I'm losing him, but then they ended up giving him some sugar, and he came back to life. He's like, what the heck just happened? So at that moment when I was hysterical, I found a cross in the Jewish General in Montreal and found a cross, a Jesus Christ cross on the floor. Okay, it was a crazy experience. I'm telling you guys this because it's spiritual, And I stayed with him for 3 weeks with his sisters by his side. Other gruesome things happened, but eventually he left this earth and he died on January 31st. And this day has always stuck in my head. And I was thinking, it's a 3/11 day, and it's 3 days before February 2nd. So I'm going to put it out there because when Livette left this comment today, I was like, maybe this January 31st, this day that my husband died, was always a sign. Because when he got diagnosed with cancer, an owl came to my window and spoke to me, okay, and called, and it always still calls me. I recorded it for you guys once. So it's just really bizarre. I can't explain it. I don't even know why I'm telling you guys all this, but I'm telling you because this journey that I've been on, something's been guiding me, and I totally believe it's him. Okay, so I don't know why all this information is coming just in my lap when I search for it. And I think this is a really spiritual experience that I'm having, and I'm sharing it with you because I do feel like we're being guided somehow. Okay, so anyhow, I just wanted to let you guys know all that and just understand that my life experiences have not been the norm. 2 months before my husband passed, my sister and her husband committed suicide. I've lived through a lot of pain, and maybe that's why I seem a little flippant sometimes and find all this kind of almost amusing. And it's because I don't feel super attached to this realm. It's a realm of chaos and a realm of half good, half evil, and I'm quite happy to be detached from it. Put it that way. So anyhow, saying that, this date, January 31st, we're going to check out, see what's happening on this date, and we'll see if there's any references to this being a special day for something tied to Jesus's death. Okay, so 7:07 is the sunrise. So we've got the 777 where Trump was inaugurated, and I do think the sacrifice is going to maybe be with Trump. So here we have 13th Amendment abolished for slavery. We got Robert E. Lee named Commander-in-Chief of the Confederate Army in the Civil War. So we got Civil War tied in. We have a hydrogen bomb, and also Mandela would be freed if he denounces violence. The ring nebula in Lyra is added. Now that's interesting because of the Lyra and all about where it was for the protests and the history, which all ties in to the whole, it ties into Dionysus too. It's like it has to do with Ascension, the whole lyra. You're supposed to play the lyra, when you're not wanting to hear the sirens. You play it. Okay, so it ties into being free and ascended. So that's a little weird. And the ring, I always think of the Lord of the Rings. It's when you get invisible, like you become ascended. So we get our 77 in the date as well. 1933, Hitler promises democracy. Is that what Biden's going to do? Oh my goodness. This is weird. We have a sword for King Arthur, the King of the North. D-Day, 1944. It's the death number, gematria. Operation Overload, D-Day, postponed till June, when Trump is born. Well, he was born 2 years after. This is telling. The Beatles, well, George Harrison, My Sweet Lord. That's important. Blondie, The Tide is High. Okay, that song has always stuck with me, and go watch the video. It's all in New York City with the water rising up. So I just feel like that's an important song. One I forgot to circle, Apollo 14 launched to the lunar highlands, so the moon's tied into Apollo. Ham the chimp travels into outer space 1961 with the Mercury program. Mercury, yeah, with a few bruises. I always say Trump's Mercury, 88. His gematria, it's the orbit of Mercury, and it's all, Mercury is all tied to healing and, you know, all this stuff. I know he's many characters in a way. He's the sun as well, and then he's also in a way he's a bit Saturn, you know, he's chaos coming in, keeper of the time. Yeah, so many characters. But Mercury is mercredi in French, which is Wednesday, which is Woden Day, which is Odin Day. So Mercury ties to Odin. The 999 Super Bowl and the 10-10-10-3-3-3, 33 on the 999 Super Bowl on January 31st. That's important. Remember, you don't need a vaccine to wear your Corona Borealis crown, otherwise you're stuck in Groundhog Day. What do you do for fun? Shatters people's thoughts on reality and make them question their existence. It's always a blast. Everybody hates you, both sides, except the people in the middle. So I'm grateful for you guys, and thank you for all your lovely comments and keeping me motivated to keep doing this. This was crazy trying to pump out these two videos back to back. That took almost like 2 days, so it's a lot of work to gather and then to edit, and it's just I get obsessive about it, so I have to get it kind of out, and then I feel like a relief once the information's gone out of my head. I don't have to hold it anymore, so there you go. It's all gone out now, and it's out in the airwaves, and we'll just wait and watch the movie. You know, it's all we can do, and try to just keep staying calm. I think it's going to get more chaotic before January. I mean, well, before the end of January. And we'll see, you know, if it takes longer. But like I said, we need that prophecy kind of going on in the Middle East. And that will be a big sign to say they're like we're getting super close. So anyhow, I'll keep you posted if anything new comes up. But this whole protest yesterday was pretty crazy to watch, and I just felt like I needed to get this out quickly to kind of get you know, everybody's kind of, you know, understanding of how I kind of perceived it all, and it was definitely what we thought with Odin. Okay, well, I felt like I had to do this video. Here I was thinking it was going to be quiet a little bit for a while, but bang on, right? Did you guys catch how Odin showed up at the Odin Wild Protest? It was crazy yesterday. So I just wanted to go through some of the stuff that was happening in the sky and a little bit of the symbolism that they're using